content over everything.
Ask me something easy.
So it's just as you was explaining, you said there was slavery in Mauritania. Through a stratified social system.
Yeah.
And it's also in Gambia and Senegal, did you say?
Maybe I didn't unpack that well enough.
I was going to ask what
let me unpack it. Let me unpack that. In the Gambia, remember I mentioned the laissez-faire mentality of the Gambians and the Senegalese. The wall of the laid-back attitude. What has happened in the Gambia and Senegal, these old distinctions had begun to break down. Because Mauritania is a more isolated society, and I'm not giving them a pass. Those who have heard the fullness of this talk know I'm not giving the Mauritanian Arabs a pass. But it is because of the isolated environment in which they live, their socio-economy did not evolve sufficiently to abolish slavery. That is not giving them a pass. I'm looking at the socio-economics of the country. They produce gum Arabic, they produce dates. In the north, they have phosphates, but that's Nouadhibou. You go to the north near Laayoune, near to Sahara, that part they used to call it Sahrawi, they're trying to fight for independence. You go there, you get minerals and phosphates. But generally, it's a very poor country. And in a very poor country, what you often find is the slave and the master, there's very little distinction between what they eat and what they wear. But I know the distinction because Mauritanian Haratin women are allowed to dress very poorly, very thin, sheer garments. Sometimes the breast is exposed. And I think, yes, it's because of the drudgery of the hard work that they do, but also it's a way of reminding people and reminding them of their lowly estate. It's keeping them in a state of slavery in their mind. So the noble or the freeborn Mauritanian woman will wear the malhafa. It's like what the Sudanese woman wear the thobe, the wrap around. Whereas the slave is distinguished by how she deports herself. And that reminds her, in my opinion, that she's a slave. So whereas in this part of the world, being skimpily clad is a sign of independence, in Mauritania, being skimpily clad is a sign of servitude. Okay. Now, I'll explain. What happened in Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, Conakry, and maybe Mali is that the big distinctions broke down between what, in the Mandinka, you call them Horon. The upper class is called Horon. The slave class, you call them Jong. The artisan class, Nyamakala. The Nyamakala, they would be, but in the Nyamakala, the middle class, the middle tier, you have lower and upper in them too. So you will, like in Hindu caste system, but what you will find is that the blacksmith is considered very low. The griot, the jali, they call jali in Mandinka, is considered very low. So if you know that part of the world, you will know they can be identified by surnames. So if you hear the surname Jabate, there's a famous female who plays the kora called Sona Jabate. Jabate means that she is of low nation. She is musician. That is why one of the most famous singers of Mali, Salif Keita, there were problems when he attempted to become a professional singer because Keitas are royal. They are not supposed to lower themselves to be entertaining. So there is this in that, and you have that in Mauritania. The only difference in Mauritania, the low class is often invariably coterminous with black. Okay. Not exclusively. The funny thing is, among the Hassani Moors, you have some who are black. But, so that's why I say I'm choosing my...
The upper class.
Yes, amongst them you have very dark blacks. But generally, the rule is, the stratification in that society is that you have Arab Moors at the top, Berber scholars in the middle, the Zawiya, and at the bottom you have blacks. The blacks will be Haratin, slaves or freed slaves, who become vassals and tributaries. They stick around. Or then you have the other Africans who are outside of the system, who are their problem. That's their problem, because those guys know who they are. They have a sense of, we are Tukulor, Fular, Fulani, we are Soninke, or we are Wolof. Now, their social structure, however, is similar to that. And I think that is where the psychological confusion occurs. However, like I was saying to the brother, in a laid-back country like Senegal, those differences are beginning to break down. Yet I know of families, because I live there. I know, like people who, you know the famous scholar Sheikh Anta. Well, that Job is a high Wolof name. Job is high Wolof, not ordinary Wolof.
Is that not French?
No, Job is Wolof.
Oh, okay.
That's a Wolof name. And the Jobs do not marry, and this guy wanted to marry a girl, and her family was gay. The gay are Tigger, they are blacksmith, or they are performers, gay in Wolof. So they cannot easily do it. So that existed up to, I saw that up to 1990 something.
Yeah, but it's not as pronounced as...
No, but because the socio-economy, listen, when I wanted photographs to be, you know, I take my pictures and so, somebody did me. When I want to develop them in Nouakchott, the capital of Mauritania, this is 1988, man. They have I had to go to Senegal. I had to go to Saint Louis, Mdar, in Senegal to get my pictures. They had no infrastructure at all. So what I'm not saying, people say, oh, this is where he's been an apologist for the... No, I'm saying that because the people we are talking about here, they're all Muslims. I am not talking about any group here that is not a Muslim. So I'm not being an apologist for Islam as the people like to put on YouTube that I'm apologizing. What I'm trying to say is this, is that this social structure, the infrastructure of Mauritania was entirely underdeveloped. They were being administered during the French colonial period from Senegal, a city called Ndar, which today they also call Saint Louis. It was being, so I'm trying to say that it's high time though, 1980, they abolished slavery. No, but it's high time that this damn thing be put to an end. And those who stand to gain, those in positions of privilege, refuse to allow it. So they get some shuyukh, some scholars of Islam to come and say, well, you see, Islam is permitted in the Quran, so we should have these people as slaves. It is not haram to do this, as if we are in a state of war. We are not in a state of war. This is not a state, this is not Darul Islam fighting Darul Harb. The whole of this area is Islamic. It's called Islamic Republic of Mauritania. Where is your state of war that you have slaves? That you have captives and you have slaves? Ridiculous.
You're only supposed to have slaves in wartime, so.
In wartime you can. Why? You gonna cut off everybody's head? You gonna put everybody in prison? You cut off everybody's head? In America they just pick people up.
And that's their excuse for still having...
Yes, they get their scholars to come and say, well, you see, it is a sunnah. The Prophet did it, it's good enough for him, it's good enough for us. Refusing to look at what we call asbab al-nuzul, reasons for a revelation being given at a particular time. So I would just say that in Senegal, there was a similar social structure, but it is on the wane because Senegal is a fairly developed society. Look, never a military coup. That's a developed society.
More so than Mauritania then, is it?
100 times. Listen, when a society never had a coup, you know how much investment will come there? Because people know it's a safe country in which to invest. Mauritania had coup and coup. Gambia had one or not much. Maybe one, two. The Gambia kind of doing all right too, because they're influenced by Senegal.
Who were the European colonizers of Mauritania?
French.
Senegal, it was okay.
Remember, they were administered from
Is
French.
Gambia was
British
as well as because
British.
the British had the little part with the river.
That is it still.
Okay,
That's still the Gambia. That's still the Gambia.
And then outside of that, what's the
Well, the northern part
of
is Senegal and the southern part is Senegal. The southern part is called the Casamance. That's the Casamance close to Guinea-Bissau. And then the northern part is the Senegal that we know, which borders with Mauritania. But it was that bit was all of, I think, Mali, Niger, perhaps Chad, Mauritania, and Senegal were called French Sudan.
Was Niger France as well?
Yeah, Niger, Republic du Niger. They speak French up to now. Look, recently there was an ISIS massacre of soldiers in Niger. Check it out on Al Jazeera. The guy was speaking, the president, Yusuf or whatever name was speaking in French. They speak Arabic as well.
So are these amongst the countries that are being, because I'm hearing that France is still forcing ex-colonies.
France has never relinquished its colonies. The French economy, like how Britain's economy kind of failed after the war, and Britain drifted more and more into a service economy. Oh no, we're still struggling with this. They're still trying to Boris Johnson's going to make up his mind what the hell to do. Because right now they're at an economic crossroads. Join Trump and mess around with China, get embroiled in Trump's wars with China, or try to keep one foot in the European economic market, not union. They have to, Britain has to make, France economy never recovered. They bore more of a brunt of it in the war than we did though, than the English did. So what they did is they kept their claws dug in to their former colonies, to the extent when they granted them independence, they had well, Senghor was one of them, Houphouët-Boigny of Côte d'Ivoire was another one. They had hand-picked people ready to take the seat vacated by the white bureaucrat. And that's what they did, except when they got to Guinea-Conakry, the one called Conakry, the leader said, either we are independent, that is called Ahmad Sékou Touré. He said, either we are independent or we are not. So what the French did, in order to hurt that country's independence, they destroyed all the infrastructure before they left. They just, everything was, so the country was brought to the brink of ruin even before it started. And there's another leader in Mali, Modibo Keïta. He was more moderate, but he tried to have the same policies. The fact is, the French are in Mali. I mentioned Modibo Keïta, the same name, royal name Keïta, right? I mentioned Mali for that reason. For the reason that the French are there again, ostensibly to stop two things: the Tuareg independence Azawad movement, and to stop Ansaruddin and Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb from creating a problem of radicalizing the area. That may be true. There are other wars in Mali. We have the Songhai battling with the Tuareg. I mentioned the Songhai Empire, they still exist. They are there. They have problems, they have beef with the Tuareg. There are the Dogon and the Fulani. They are in central Mali having their own problems. And therefore the country has enough instability of its own. The French peacekeepers are there to ensure that whatever happens, whether instability or stability, the flow of uranium to the west does not cease. That is why they are there. You and I pay our electricity bill to EDF. The British have franchised our electricity to a French company. That French company exploits Niger, Chad, Mali, and those countries in the which were former colonies, they're still there, for the uranium and other phosphates and things, to power their nuclear. Their energy comes from nuclear. Yeah, and that is why these French still have a stranglehold on their colonies. They will not interfere in any country so long as the
flow of resources.
The resources flow towards them. Mauritanians can keep 1 million slaves, they wouldn't care. However, if there was something in Nouadhibou where the minerals are, northern Mauritania, that was being threatened by what the Moors are doing with the slaves, they would come in on a humanitarian program at once, saying, we are here, we have discovered that there are slaves in Mauritania. We've just discovered that there are slaves being kept by Arabs, and we are here to free them. That's what they would do.
So in a sense then what you're saying is, because this sounds the same as more or less the rest of Africa, what you're saying basically then is they're never gonna let Africa free. So how is it? Well, that's the impression.
No,
I'm
they
getting.
won't. Yeah,
Okay.
No, they won't.
So what within your
the
mind?
British just do it more subtly.
Yeah, I agree.
The British have been much better at manipulating. They will actually make you enjoy your slavery.
Stockholm syndrome.
We have it when even Pan-Africanists, when Afrocentrists discuss Pan-Africanism, there's a kind of Anglospheric superiority because we speak English and we read the books in the original Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Joseph Benjamin, because we read it in the English. We think that black people from Guadeloupe or from Brazil or from some other part of Africa, Mozambique, where they speak Portuguese, have nothing to offer. So when we have Pan-Africanist meetings, it's dominated, it's very Anglo-centric. Yeah, and that is because the way the English colonized us, they've made us to believe in the superiority of what comes with the language. Yeah.
The mind.
Yeah. The French have it too. The French have taught the biggest absurdity was Léopold Sédar Senghor, the first president of Senegal. When he retired, he became the president de l'Académie Française, the head of the French Academy. The French Academy is a body set up in order to monitor the purity and maintain the excellence of the French language. And that's why, like the British Council all over the world, they have their Alliance Française go around and to teach people the superiority of French culture. That's fine. However, the French feel they are fighting a rearguard battle against the English for linguistic dominance. So they try to focus on their cultural dominance, their haute cuisine, their food, their haute couture, their clothing, and so forth. The English language apparently has triumphed over the French language. We do have our writers, our Afrocentric Sheikh Anta from Senegal. He wrote in French. He tried to write in Wolof, but there will be few people that would understand in Wolof, who would be educated enough to know what he is. So it would be easier for him to write those books on anthropology of ancient Egypt in French.
Is that still
Frantz Fanon.
Is that still really making a difference today in respect to the fact that we now can translate into
well, that's what I'm saying. So there's a much faster flow of literature in their languages to us. So that we got Sheikh. I never read Sheikh Anta Diop in French. I always read in English because the very earliest books I got, they were already translated into English. But what I'm saying is, I was actually talking about the French and how they colonize people now by their culture, by trying to focus on how raffiné, how sophisticated their culture is. And the British, I think, use the medium of being the overwhelming amount of literature on science, computer science in particular, and computer language, yes, is in English. And I think that is why we who speak English, whether we're African Americans or Afro-Brits, we tend to feel this kind of superiority. Even in the black liberation struggle, I've seen it.
Western privilege.
Yeah. So, to answer your question, I think the British were much more subtle in how they colonized. When they said, here are the French, practicing assimilation, we, by contrast, practice indirect rule. It was perfected in northern Nigeria by Lord Lugard, and it was rolled out, I think, first in the Sokoto Caliphate, in order to say, well, look, there's no way that we can just bash these people to death. They have a well-ordered system of emirates. It was a caliphate with a well-ordered system of emirates. There's no way we can obliterate it.
In Nigeria,
yes, these people were basing their lives on the Quran. There's no way you can shake them. So what they did, they just said to the people, this is a show of force. You see what we can do, but it's not what we will do. What we will do is show you leaders the superiority of British civilization, and you will recognize the futility of resisting us militarily. So what you will choose to do instead, the Godfather contract, as somebody called it, is you will pay us taxes. And you will collect taxes from your people for us. You will be put. We know white man is coming to bully people like a traffic warden. No, we will have a white man coming at the end of the year. He will be the district commissioner. He will sit behind the desk and he will just collect the information and act in a very unassuming manner. He's the real power. The Sultan is in power with his big, nice African clothes, but he's not in power. He's that little man with a pith helmet sitting on a little trestle desk table, collecting. Once you don't see him much. So indirect rule worked magnificently because it made us think we're in charge. And that is what is ruling the world today.
So my question is, though, my real question was, how the hell do we get out of that, or how did they get out of that?
Well, we have to have a philosophical understanding of the concept of freedom first. What is freedom? Are we free? You might have to go to work tomorrow morning. You might have to go to work. You don't have a chance to say, I will negotiate that I am working a 4-day week. What did Jeremy Corbyn say, a 4-day week? Which of you has the power? You can't. So you have to work from 9 to 5. You have to brave all that traffic to go home. You're a slave. You're a wage slave. If they have rolling contracts which are worse, you don't get a contract, they just say we're going to renew it, we're going to renew it every time forward, we're going to review it. And you keep working from, you don't know, from uncertainty to uncertainty, and you live like that. You get 2 weeks to go to Tenerife and act like a fool. Or what's the other place? Marbella? or Ibiza or something, and that's how you live. That's how most people who voted for Boris Johnson live. They voted for him, they're actually automatons. When people say things like, you treat Jeremy Corbyn, you're treating the electorate as illiterate. You're talking down on them. They have a point in the sense that Jeremy Corbyn is an inflexible ideologue. He has tremendous integrity and will not shift his position. That is not politics. Politics doesn't work like that. You gotta lie like Bojo, like Boris Johnson. You gotta tell people what they want to hear, and then when they've forgotten that said, you're twisted another way. It doesn't lend itself to honest expression. I like Jeremy Corbyn, but I knew he wouldn't win. I was expecting a coalition. I didn't know he'd lose this badly. I knew he would lose, but not this badly. So what I'm trying to look at, if you look at the situation with human beings, all of these people in the North, what we call a red belt, that suddenly went blue, they're all slaves. They're all wage slaves. Why are they slaves? I say that. I'm not looking down on them. I'm one of them. I'm just not up there. If I was born white and in that area, I'd be one of them because I would be necessarily undereducated. And it's their undereducation which makes them vote for race over class any day. Even though they call themselves working class, they vote for race because this was not an election. This was a referendum.
Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it.
This was a referendum. This was a Brexit referendum. It was not a general election. And the core of the referendum is anti-immigration. So all this rubbish about class. You see my brother Heiko, I had a couple questions I wanted to ask him because he is an ideologue, he's a dogmatist, like Jeremy, and I respect him. I've known him here since the mid-80s. Yeah, but where we part company is when I look at the situation and understand that these people voted for feelings over facts.
You're talking about the one with the
The white working class, I'm saying, voted for fee. Yeah, I don't want to go to. I don't want to lean on that. That's on tape, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It's my boy. He's my boy. It don't look good. So yeah, we voted for feelings over facts. So that's where me and the socialist part company. I love a lot about socialism. But when we part companies, I realize the white working class is at times my worst enemy. And I understand why. Because if you undereducate them and you underprivilege them and you marginalize them and then you bring a bunch of black people to live on cooking smoked fish and playing whatever music and going to the mosque, and of course they're going to blame them. I'm going to blame Khalid. I ain't going to blame, the other, let me see, the MP who never comes, he never does anything. I will blame the other. So I realize my problem with socialism, that's why I cannot be an ideologue. I cannot be a dogmatist. I will like socialism, but when the facts change, I will say, this is as far as socialism can take me. Same with Pan-Africanism. There are parts it cannot take me, and I'll say I'm a Pan-Africanist, but I cannot go there. That bit isn't working.
Well, socialism can't start until certain things have been applied first.
It reminds me of Hizb ut-Tahrir. A bunch of Muslims were saying, we can't get nothing done until the caliphate is established. Okay. Then you'll never get anything done. Right. I know of a hadith which says, if Akhir al-Zaman comes upon you, the day of judgment is coming and you're planting a date seed, keep doing what you're doing. In other words, life has to go on. Like I was saying about President Barrow. I don't mind him sticking up for the Rohingya in Myanmar. But I want him to stick up. You can do two things at the same time. Stick up for your own people too.
And do that as well at the same time.
Do that too. In fact, you need to be sticking up for your own people first. But I don't want to put it like that, because Muslims will get upset and start telling about Ummah Wahida. There's one international Ummah. That's where I tell people, I can go so far with you, but I can't go this far. I do not believe there is one Ummah. I don't believe it. I don't.
That's true. What, do you really think they believe it?
No, it's an ideal.
You really think they believe it?
No, Muslims do believe it. The hardcore, the beards do believe it. Okay. Right? Now listen, I understand it. It's an ideal. It's a noble ideal. Similarly, the communist thing is a noble ideal. But I'm going to wait for it to happen.
So why don't?
And wait for it to happen?
If they believe in it, why don't they actualize it then? Why don't they
Because it's an ideal. With most ideals, you never get there. It's not the destination, it's the journey.
So
it's the self-improvement.
So talking and not acting.
No, I don't want to be hard on them. Let me not be hard,
what it
because
is.
I do like Jeremy Corbyn and I do like Ken Livingstone. I like them. But what I understand about a lot of people is this. A lot of human beings say, I am this. What they should really say is, I am on a path striving towards
to get to that.
this.
Exactly.
Because when they're caught out not being there, we say, you told us you were there. You ain't there. You're far from there. So the labels are, that's why I hesitate with labels. What I'm saying is, these things are a journey, not the rest. So when Muslims tell me about the Ummah, and I meet a big fat Saudi with all that gold on and wearing a silk thong, and he's telling me about the Ummah, I say to him, because I don't want to have a fight in public, I say, yes, brother, I understand what you mean, but you're going to work from your end, and I'm going to work from mine. But I'm not seeing you putting in the work. You're not putting in the work. You're not. So I'll tell you something, we're going to do it our own. You can call us racist as much as you like. I tell black people, do not, black Muslims, I say to them, do your own thing. Stop begging to marry sisters from other nations. Stop it. You're embarrassing us. They're not going to respect you more.
And so to bring that back to Africa coming out then.
You see what I'm doing? You see, you meet me at a point. It's the same thing. I love President Barrow, what he's doing. Saying, Miss Aung San Suu Kyi, what you're doing to the Muslims of Myanmar is unfair. It's got to stop. The world has gone in cold and indifferent and apathetic. He's doing the right thing. But I want him to do that for his own people in the situation in Mauritania. Call it out. I don't care if they call themselves the Islamic Republic of Mauritania.
It's like people trying to fight for Palestine, but then you've got...
I wrote that today. And I know it hurts people when I say that. It hurts, but I understand this. I support Palestine. But I wonder if a day, and I'll tell you, for the record, let me say this. I traveled the length and breadth of Palestine, and I was well received and treated better than in Egypt. I lived a year in Egypt, and almost every other day some racist comment. And the Egyptians slightly fairer than me. The Palestinians much fairer than me. And truth has got to be told the way it is. I can't massage the truth to please people. Whiter skinned Palestinians treated me far better than darker skin. Egyptians ain't black, but they're darker. They're not like me. They're straighter here. Still, it's like they gotta make me understand that they're lighter than me. It's like the little slight difference. They gotta let me know this. You know, especially if they see me walking with Sudanese, Yazal, they start their foolishness. So I said, y'all, I was wearing a Sudanese thobe that day. I said, what's wrong with being Sudanese? Sudanese nas janin, hungry ass people. That's what it said. Sudanese, why you want to dress like Sudanese for? This hungry ass people. So this janin, hungry. Sudanese nas janin. Kida. Oh yeah, masakin. Fukara, masakin. Like, you want to dress like those people? Because the Egyptians, the only Egyptian...
And they're talking about Sudanese Muslims as well.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Listen, that's what I'm saying. This Ummah thing is an ideal. You and I strive for it, but we don't beg for it. We don't go to Arabs and beg.
Yeah, you have to create your own Ummah.
Yeah, create and do your self-improvement. You follow what the books say. Do your self-improvement.
And then eventually
Don't watch them.
Helping yourself means destroying the people trying to beat you down.
Yeah, call out Mauritania. Call them out. Tell them, take down that label where you call yourself Islamic Republic. Take it down. Just call yourself Republic.
Yeah, also just to add to that.
Oppressive Republic of
See,
Mauritania.
some people, there are people in power who would abuse this term, the Ummah, the great Islamic
Oh, yeah.
world. And they would, come to Somalia, Africa, or maybe Arabia, and be like, okay, we're about to create the Khalifa again, but it's just a political term to,
get whatever ends that they want to do.
Yeah.
So politics is the same
Even
no matter where it is.
even the Western world is using this term to instigate problems in the Islamic world.
So it don't matter whether it's Christian politics.
Yeah, democracy.
Or Islamic
That's another.
politics.
This
It's
is
just
about
politics.
democracy. Yeah, you know what leader said? If voting, and I voted, straight up, I said on camera, I did, right? Because I know I'm not voting for anybody. I'm voting against something.
Okay.
But that's my day. That's my thing. I'm a man, don't lie to people, right? What I'm saying is, I do also believe this. Even when I'm putting that X, I believe this. If voting had the potential to change our lives, they would have banned it.
There you go.
They would have abolished it.
That's
But
it's
what I believe is, I believe in doing two things at the same time. So nobody can say to me, you want to change things and you didn't even vote. I said, yeah, I did. It still didn't change things. So in other words, we have Martin Luther King, we have Malcolm X. Both got killed. One was peaceful, one was not. So, oh, you see, Malcolm X died because he wasn't peaceful. I said, so how did Martin Luther King die? He was peaceful. We tried both ways.
Yep.
We tried both ways. You killed us still.
Tried economics,
Yeah, you
and
killed us all.
They still destroyed it.
Yeah. So that's what I say about life. Still, we gotta work on a lot of what we're doing with religion and ideology is self-improvement as well, or community upliftment.
That's the best part.
You gotta work it like that and not watch them. I mean, you gotta watch them when they're doing wrong. Because I don't want any of my children idealizing these people. Or, because I know people, brothers in the mosque, who came to me, he want to marry a sister with straight hair. He want to marry a light-skinned sister. Yeah, so I was teasing them. I said, so what's the reason, brother? Well, you know, I want my children to be Arabic speakers. So listen to me now. His eyes on the Moroccan chicks, because Moroccans are the only Arabs that marry black people. They just marry like that. Moroccans do that. We have a joke. I said, let me not do this, man. I'm wearing a lovely Moroccan. I'm saying bad things about my people. I'm wearing their clothes, their lovely Berber clothes. No, what I mean is there are certain Moroccans who marry for visas. This is not only Moroccans. There are many other nations who do this. What I'm trying, let me qualify, don't interrupt because I gotta qualify this clearly now. Some Moroccans who do this are not unlike other nations who, because of poverty and want, desire to leave their country. And they will marry to get a visa in order to facilitate exit from their country. And it is to that extent where they have discovered that the black Muslims of England are British born. And the black Muslims of Britain used to go there and want to marry them, and recognizing that they have British passports, they get married. Among all the Arabs, I think the most frequent intermarriage with black people is from Morocco. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, and I know I don't like, I ain't dumping on people on this, that's wrong. I like to balance the picture. So what happens is, the brother came, I won't give the name of the mosque I used to work with at the time. The brother came, and not him, a whole heap of them, because I'm sitting with the guy who does the roster, the marriage roster, and he's saying even the girls want mixed race men. Even the sisters want mixed race. These are Caribbean sisters, black, some Somali sisters too. The ones that can't leave the community, you know, they can't them divorce, they leave the community. Some! I'm saying some people, listen to me, right?
Not a lot of us.
Yeah, no, yeah. Right. Well, what? But they don't want black, they want mixed, right? Okay. So I made the joke to the brother and I said to him, that's colorism.
Sheikh, you know Somali's are not mixed, even though they
No, we ain't talking, no, I'm not talking about what people who come out of the community. What tends to happen is when they move into other communities, they will still have an idea of what they want in a marriage partner, you know. So what I'm saying is, it's not just Caribbean sisters, converts who were like that. There were other people. And it's not just Caribbean brothers who want to marry Moroccan sisters, but this brother did. And I realized, I'm mentioning it, I'm making a big thing about it because it was systematic. It wasn't an isolated individual. So then I rather mischievously said, when he said he wanted to marry so that his children become first language Arabic speakers, I said, well, and I'm making this story up because it wasn't true. I said, well, we have a whole list of sisters from Darfur on the register. No, Darfur speak perfect Arabic. But they're jet black. You see what I did? So I said, if your criterion, you should have
thought properly.
But of course,
as soon as you said that, I thought, hey, that's not logical.
He began to backpedal. The man started to moonwalk out of the office.
What was his next reason?
One time.
Yeah, what was his next reason?
The man started to moonwalk. I was too busy laughing. I was too busy laughing. We didn't have any. Look, for the record, we didn't have any Darfur sisters, but it was the time of the Darfur problem. And I know because I've traveled to that area, Niala and Jabal Marra. If you go among those people in Darfur, they're black like Wolof, like ink. But their Arabic they have their language but they speak a very high class of Arabic. And they have a lot of huffaz, memorizers amongst them of the Holy Quran, amongst them. And they're on point. So when the Janjaweed were attacking them in the Sudan, the ones on the camels, they say they're Arabs, but they're even dark. But they speak only Arabic, those Janjaweed. When they were attacking them and saying that these people are not Muslims, the Janjaweed were not the Muslims. They don't know Islam. They know Arabic. They are speaking Arabic. But they don't know Islam. They are muharibun. They are marauders. And they were actually attacking Darfur people, villagers. It was a problem similar to the problem I have discussed with Mauritania. The origin of that problem is ecological. As the desert began to expand, global warming, climate change, the herdsmen cannot feed the animals, they start moving towards farms, settled farmers. Settled people can't fight these people. These people are nomads, they're rough and ready. So what the nomads do, they have to, when you want to steal people's things, and don't you gotta justify it. So they're justified by saying, these are Abid. Look at them, they're black, they're slaves. They're Abid, they're not Muslims. When in fact, those Darfur people are some of the best Muslims you can find, knowing the best level of Arabic. So that's why I was teasing. That's why I was teasing the brother. We have some lovely sisters here on the book from Darfur. They're very black. He didn't want that anymore. The Arabic thing changed. Yeah, joke. I realize our people suffer from this. And that is why I'm always on guard to tell our people, be Muslim, you don't have to be an Arab.
You know, Sheikh,
be Muslim.
You see, a lot of African people or people of African descent, whether Caribbean or other black people, they've been coming up to me because I'm a Somali and I got dark skin, but then they look at my facial features and my straight curly hair and they say, you got
Arab in you?
They say I got Arab in me, I am Indian, whatever. So I want it to come from you and at least explain to them, because I keep telling them I'm not mixed. This is how my race, the Cushitic people, look
We're
like.
going on a different subject.
Yeah, this is the way the race of the Cushitic people look like, you know? And I just want you to clarify for that, for the people in front of the camera.
Well,
please.
look, not only...
Why they say you too dark, sorry. They say you too dark.
No!
They'll look at my hair and they'll be like, you're Sri Lankan, you got mixed, and all that bullshit, you know?
So what they say about my hair? I'm Caribbean. Look at my hair. What they say about it? I'm Caribbean.
Actually, I heard people actually called you on the comments.
Indian. I heard them saying that. I laugh. One of them said my name is Gupta. I wish Guptas they're having money. I wanted a damn group. Anyhow, what I would say is this. There's if you look at Al Jazeera, I don't know why I'm giving them unnecessary attention. Other television stations are available. But if you look at Al Jazeera, they did the climate change thing. The whole worry about global warming. They talked about Greta Thunberg there. But then they talked about a girl from Uganda. I forget her name. She's a young girl too, of the climate, what do you call them? Extension Rebellion kind of girl. If you see her features, she's a Ugandan, just like him. Now.
What, straight hair you mean?
No, the features. The hair might be like the brother. Yeah. But are you from Uganda?
No, I'm from Guinea-Bissau.
From where?
Guinea-Bissau.
Guinea-Bissau.
Yeah.
All right.
Where is that? Where is that?
Are you Manjago?
Yeah.
Mutakala?
Is that
Blow.
Hold
Why are you speaking this language?
on. Nice to meet you. That's very good. That's very good.
Rwanda's a Cushitic.
Yeah, I'm coming. That's the point.
Senegal.
Yeah.
Why are you speaking this language?
But let me come to the point. Let me come to this point. You see what I'm trying to say? We are now in the heart of Africa. Uganda. Somebody look exactly like him. All right. So what? So we go up to her and say to her, yeah, but what I'm trying to say is this.
East Africa, yeah.
We are too focused on trying to make Africa one thing, a homogeneity. We're forcing Africa into a little box. And I know why it's happening. I'll tell you why it's happening. Because of centuries of colonization, we have begun to identify aquiline features with superiority. This happened outside of Africa. So now, what we have a tendency to do, when we see people with such features, we assume they have something to do with outside Africa. And we try to, it's the Horn of Africa, therefore they must have just come from Arabia. Look where they are. Look where they are. I call that the elbow of Africa, the sharp elbow. You know, they push Arabia like that. You see, and people will say, you see, look at the Ethiopians where they are, Red Sea. Which there is some truth to it.
A little bit. Like the
But
Habesha.
the fact is, even if it all came,
But you could argue it spilled out the opposite way as
it could
opposed
be.
to that way.
No, actually, it went both ways.
Historically.
It went both ways. It went both ways.
Okay.
The point I'm trying to make to that is this: how long are you going to have people in Africa and tell them they're not African? I hear people saying about the Fulani. They say about Fulani. Paul Futa Dialon. They say the Paul Futa came there. This is Fulani people. They look like you anyway. They say they came. Now you see how the Fulani house is shaped. The houses. Is it anything more, you can find anything more African than that? Look at what the Fulani eat, this chere, this takiri, you can find anything more? Look at how they live. What I'm trying to understand is, so what do these people have to do to convince you that they're African?
Exactly.
Do they need to convince you? Who are you? Not you in particular, not you personally. Who are such people to draw this list of criteria as to what is an African?
Eligibility.
The people of Eldoret in Kenya, they have features like him. Some of the running people, the Kalenjin people. Some of the Japadola, some of the Toro in Ruwenzori in Uganda, they don't have the hair soft, but they got the features. As you mentioned just now, the Hima, the Tutsi, the Rwandese, the Tutsi, they are known to have such features. Now, my point is, I'm just trying to talk about the heterogeneity of Africa. Africa is so big and so vast, and being the cradle of mankind, everybody knows this point I'm about to make. Even though the white man say we all look alike, there is more hair
in Africa than
anywhere in the world. They may think we all look the same or whatever it is, but even among the ones who look the same, there is more diversity in them than in the whole of mankind. So
that's the way the media portrays
I know,
people, they all look the same.
I know your situation is people trying to make you into something that you're not. They feel, I know what you're saying. You're trying to say to me, right, I'm African, but I'm a different kind of African. There are different kinds of African. That they will not be satisfied until I become the kind of African they want me to be. And I physically cannot change. I cannot physically morph into a Congolese. Therefore, I have to be who I am, and I have to be proud of who I am.
Don't be buying no dreadlock wig.
They wear bark clothes as well. Now, I'm saying this, people find this difficult, but the truth is, the same argument is being, and I heard a Somali guy, funnily enough, paradoxically enough, attacking a Berber for the same thing, saying to him, well, your whiteness makes you suspect. And I was saying, I would feel like that about an Afrikaner of South Africa. Your whiteness makes me, because I know the kind of privilege you live with. To me, the Berber in North Africa, if you find me exactly where they come from and when they came from, I'd say they're not African. If you can pinpoint to me, and incidentally for the camera, for people who think I'm wearing Arab clothes, this is Berber. This is from the mountains. And if people think it's still Arab, I want to ask them if the Berber were sitting on the Reef Mountains in North Africa, shivering cold, waiting for Arabs to come and bring them clothes. Right? We got a lot of stupid people out there. Sometimes I got to talk to the stupid people too.
Here's my
Don't you think I should speak to the stupid people as well? I got to speak to the fools as well.
Because I was going to say, with the problem that you're talking about with the African thing, I was also going to say, if you use the word black, it's even worse because you have Australian Aborigines,
Papuan.
Papua New Guinea, you have all that.
But I consider them my people.
Yeah, you got so many
Sri Lankans
to where that term seems redundant, but I understand the political.
I understand it. Look, race, because race is not an exact science.
Yes.
Neither is anthropology. They're not hard sciences. So they're very movable feasts. And that's why I cannot be an ideologue. Because these things change. I remember when I was a boy, I was a Negro. All of a sudden I learned I was an African, which I welcome because I was part of that change. I was part of a movement in Trinidad which said we are not Negroes, we are Africans. Yeah, in America they were Negroes. In America they were Negroes. Check it out. In America they were Negroes. Then they were coloreds.
Negro means black, it's just Spanish for black.
And Portuguese as well.
That's intent of whatever. Some people can say black and
it's Iberian.
It's intent in people's head. You can't.
Well, I want to ask the other question is that if
before you do that, I was gonna say the other thing because my points are adding up. They're in queue, ready to come out. But I was gonna say, why do we refer to Arabs as being not black either? Because to my understanding,
I'll tell you what
they were also black.
Well, here's the problem.
They had dark skin.
The Bilal and the Yemenis king and the war of the elephants and all that
funny
kind
enough,
of stuff.
the Yemenis and some parts of Arab people, they have the same genetic, what's it called, code with the Sheikh people.
Yeah.
They come from the same
And these people we refer to as Arabs now were Indo-European.
No, well, you see, it depends on co-optation. I often try to apply reason to this and say, if something has been co-opted for too long, leave it with the people who took it. It's like when black people want to be Hebrews, say, y'all stop that foolishness. Stop that foolishness. Those white Ashkenazi took it, leave it with them. Let them roll with it. They're happy with it, let them, as long as they ain't coming to Africa fooling black, like they are fooling black people, telling the Igbo of Eastern Nigeria that they are Hebrews in order to exploit the people's oil and water and cropland.
You accept the term Israelite though? Because Israelite
No, it's not
Hebrew,
good.
innit?
It ain't nothing to do with me.
Or
Look,
Canaanite.
here's, why
It's
would you,
supposed to be Hamite.
yo, bro,
Canaanites not Hamite.
Suppose, well, some people think.
yo, why would you take a tiny minority of people and telescope them out of proportion to their size and say everybody was those tiny minorities? That's like me saying every black person was an Ashanti. All blacks descend from Yoruba. All blacks are Manjago. It's like if I said all blacks are Manjago.
It's
It's
their personal
ridiculous.
fight. It's like their own little personal fight.
No, it's because our
gripped onto.
people, I
everything
say it in
themselves.
Trinidad, you know, to say it in standard English. Our people like things already set up. Hebrew has an ancient script. It has a religious pedigree. A lot of our people who get racially maltreated in Islam want to continue believing in the one God. We want to, but Islamic Muslim people are being raised, so what do? We go back beyond them and say, you know something? This is ours. In fact, if you read the Torah, the Old Testament, that's us. So forget it. We don't need Islam to believe in one God. We are the true Hebrews. And by doing that, you not only create a religion that you can own, you are a race as well. Like the Jews are a race and a religion. And I see that's the attraction for black people. Like my Jamaican brother, we always tease each other here. That's my boy. You know, I and he get along because we from the homeland. We call a lot of y'all Afro-Saxon, y'all in Caribbean. We the people from back home.
It's true.
We do the real thing. So we can relate.
Would you accept African American?
Yeah, they don't accept us.
Since
I
Jamaica.
No, I'm a
it's the
Pan.
Americans.
Look, let me start by saying I'm a Pan-Africanist. I accept black people anywhere I find them, especially with a shared common history.
I meant the term
African American. I remember when they were called Negroes.
As a Caribbean.
When I was a boy, we called them American Negroes. There were 22 million, when I was in the 60s, the 22 million American Negroes. Then they became colored. Then they became Afro-American. And then they became African American. That's what I'm saying. Identity and labels change. So you can't nail your colors too firmly to a mast. But all of these things that we're discussing here, things will change. Concepts will change. Racial identities will shift. Ethnic groups that used to exist in the past don't exist anymore. The people of Harar, near his country, were once much, much bigger. The language Harar, which is a Semitic language like Amharic, is only spoken now in one town, one little town. It was spoken in a large area.
That is a bit closer to Somali language too.
But what I'm saying, no, but it's Semitic. But it's Semitic.
Somali is not Semitic.
Yeah, no, their language is
not
Cushitic. No, Harar is Semitic. It is. No, Harar language is Semitic. It's like Amharic and Tigrinya and Tigray and the other one,
But Sheikh,
Guraji.
just to add to that, you know, Karar is part of the Greater Somalia.
But what I'm saying is the language.
Yeah,
People
but
die.
it was also under the Adel Sultanate.
Yeah, you know, listen what I'm saying. When that language dies, the identity of Harar, one town left, one town with a language, one town. When that goes, it's like Ma'lula in Syria, where the language Jesus Isa alayhi salam spoke, Aramaic. It's still spoken in Ma'lula in Syria. But with all of the upheavals and what's going on, the people are dying because of, you know, what's happening in Syria. When that goes, that's the last place that spoke that. That's where Mel Gibson must have got the people to speak on the film, to use the language, because they still speak it there. The language that Jesus spoke is spoken there. But when that town goes, and that's what I'm saying in the world, when we stick on labels too tightly, things change. People move, people die, people acquire new identities, people get absorbed. There are a lot of people who your people might have absorbed, and they lost their identity. The Issa, they said the Issa and the Afar. The Issa in Djibouti and the Afar. They said that actually Ahmad Gurey was an Issa. He was, or even an Afar, Ahmad Gurey.
No, he was both. He was.
See how can he be both? Got you.
I can tell you how he can be both.
Yeah, let's have it.
Because you know, his ancestry on his paternal side is not mentioned. So that's
We're
why.
talking about Muhammad.
Now we're
No,
talking
a
about
leader who fought in Ethiopia.
the Sultanate of Somalia.
Yeah.
So, but his mother was Somali, right? That's confirmed that his mother was
But in
Somali.
patrilineage culture, you know, he cannot be. Patrilineally, He cannot be. I don't believe in patrilineage personally, but Africans mostly believe you are who your father is. Most Africans, not all,
A lot of
not
Somali
all.
historians did say that he was Dir. He was a Dir clan. So but at the end of the day, he was such a great king. Like, he was such a great king that all the
Everybody want to claim him.
everybody want to claim him.
Everybody want to claim Ahmad Gurey.
Yeah, apart from Ethiopians, you know. But at the end of the day, what I wanted to ask you, you know, the Harari language.
Yes, Harar.
Yeah,
Semitic.
I thought that was because they're close to Hanfar as well, because Hanfar is Cushitic, isn't it?
Yep.
So, and Harari is close to Hanfar language.
No, but Harar is definitely Semitic. It was a language that was much wider spoken in the area. But for some reason, it could be the rise of the Oromo, the spread of the Oromo that pushed them back. They kept getting pushed back.
It was because of
into
Haile
small-
Selassie, wasn't it?
No, but the Oromo expansion took place before Selassie. I remember, in fact, the Oromo began to contract under Menelik II. He was the one who put Addis Ababa in the middle of their territory in order to watch you and the Oromo. That's what he did it for, in order to be able to control the Somali and the Oromo people. And he did a lot. He is responsible for a lot of oppression of a lot of the Oromo people. But the Oromo had spread widely.
Half of Somalia, sorry, half of Ethiopia is a Somali land. Because of the British borders, they gave it to.
What's the difference between Ethiopia and Somali? Weren't that
Separate
one? So that wasn't.
We were never one, though.
Never one?
No, we always had different kingdoms.
So the Aksumite Empire. I
No.
thought that was covered. Okay, so that's a misunderstanding. Okay.
Aksum was one of the, like there was Yeha even before Aksum. There were kingdoms that they are now digging now and discovering that antedated Aksum. This is when some early tribe like the Habashat tribe, it's going to rain, when the Habashat tribe left Yemen and went to Ethiopia. In the early days, Semitic speaking Ethiopians were called Abyssinian. It is Habashinia. Habash. The Habash, people call Habash, but Habash was one of the tribes that left South Arabia and settled in the highlands of Ethiopia. And apparently, perhaps they were so prominent among the groups, Habash gave the name to all the groups. And as they indigenized living in Africa, they became African. You see, that's the point. To me, they're African. They developed the Ge'ez script, they developed their language in Africa. Their form of writing was developed in Africa. So if somebody wants to tell me Berbers are not African, well then the Amharic people are not African too. It's a to me it's a problematic argument to say because the Berbers are light skinned, they're not African. If you have that, it's problematic because I know, right now I'm reading this book. Can you hold this for me, please? See, I always have a book with me. This was one of my professors from SOAS. Professor, let me give him a plug. He died. Let me give him a plug. He's a lovely old man. See, I'm reading about the Tuareg, their Islamic legacy and diffusion in the Sahel. Professor H.T. Norris. Any book you get from that man is sound. Sound. And he ain't got no bias, he ain't got no beef. He's a proper academic. He died. Anyway, I'm reading about, these are a kind of Berber. Effectively, they are desert Berbers. The language is similar. It would be like Afar and Somali. Like this, they can understand each other with some struggle. Now, what am I going to say? These people, I may not like that in history, from time to time they were prone to taking blacks as slaves. But they did not carry on what you call a systematic slave trade. They would trade the odd slave, which they often were sold by Empire of Kanem Borno, Black Empire. They would trade for salt. They get gold, they get slaves. They would trade like that. Now, somebody would say, well, because they did that, they're not African. Well, the people who sold them, the slaves, were black Africans. And it wasn't a slave trade like the transatlantic slave. It wasn't like that. And I want a lot of people who listen to this to try to understand this. Because it's a simple thing I'm trying to say here. In the days before industrialization and heavy militarization and heavy technology, it was just like the Vikings taking slaves from the Anglo-Saxons. To me, that is how I see Arab slavery. That's why the Arabs got beaten twice in Nubia. They had the same weapons. The Romans had got beaten before the Arabs in Nubia. The first time the Arab expansion was stopped, ever, was by black people in Nubia.
The golden arrows?
Yeah, well, they call it people of the arrows. The people of the arrows, of the bow. The land of the bow. Ta-Seti. They call it in the ancient Kemetic language, the people of the bow. So what I'm trying to say is, in those situations, you saw that when people want to talk about the Arabs have been taking slaves from time immemorial, it's people with the same kind of technology fighting each other. Now, when you come to transatlantic slavery and the Ottoman period, you're talking about a different kind of slavery. There's cannon and big guns, and you're fighting people with only a spear, and you know what I'm saying? And you're inferiorizing. That's a verb I'm inventing now. You're inferiorizing people. That's different. And I think
specificity as well.
yeah.
Specific,
you see, a lot of things about the look at basis. I'm not defending any form of slavery. Slavery is a denial of a person's rights. I don't care if it's hard or it's soft.
do I consider
He's gonna take us backwards. We just did that.
Because I want to ask, if you consider the Berbers to be African, do you consider the Boers to be African?
No, I just said that. The Boers came from an empire, the Dutch Empire. They came as colonizers to exploit the land and take its wealth back home. The Cape of Good Hope was established in the 16th century in order to be a filling station on the way to Java, what is today Indonesia,
That's
was
a
Dutch.
defining factor. If someone comes,
You are interrupting my answer.
I just want to be sure. So if someone comes as a colonizer,
You know, I like my answer to be clear, so people, no, my answer is half. They have clipped that and they have not got the full point I am making.
what you're saying. You're saying.
Yeah, but I need, no, I'm also talking to the camera. I'm getting everybody involved. You see what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is this. The Dutch operated as an empire, superior weaponry, superior technology, with the power to inferiorize people. But you do have a point, and I will balance what I just said by saying this. The Boer, the Afrikaners, did not establish a university till about 200-300 years later. In a lot of ways, they did go native. They lived in wagons. They were illiterate for generations until a passing priest would come and teach them the Bible in their language. So there is some point to what you're saying about if my argument is about the Berbers being indigenized, I'm going to meet you there for the purposes of balance. However much the Boer, the Afrikaners, identified with the land as theirs, they never identified with its people. They treated the people as inferior. They wiped them off the land, and they believed from the Bible God had called them new Israel, the new Israel, and this was the new promised land, and they must occupy this, and these people are the pagan Canaanites. In that sense, I cannot see these people as African.
The Berbers never
Do you
did
see
that.
the Indians in Kenya and Tanzania as Africans?
No.
I have problems with them.
No.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something,
You only
people.
said
No, I
Indians.
want to say this. No, let me finish that. Let me qualify this. I might have more ease with the Indians in Durban, Natal, in South Africa. They came as indentured servants. I have more. The ones let me tell you something about the Indians in East Africa. They financed the Indian Ocean slave trade. You see the way people like to say the Jews finance the transatlantic slave trade? That's an exaggeration. The Jews finance a part of it, not all of it. Let me tell you something about white people. I'm going to make a quick sidebar. White people are sneaky. They're sneaky. They use the Jews to dump on. There ain't nobody more money conscious than a white man. You owe 5 cents to the IRS and see what happens. They'll hunt you down for $5 in America, taxes. If you owe them $5, they will hunt you, they'll jail you for $5, right? However, they like to point the finger at the money-grabbing Jew. They pushed the Jews into money lending. They did it in the medieval period. The Jews became rich by default, and the Jews learned because of pogroms, massacres, to survive, to become hustlers, and that's what the Jews did. That's how they survived. Now, they got involved in the slave trade as part of whatever else was happening at the time, but to dump on them like they're the only ones who did it is white people deflecting onto, they love doing shit like that. Now, what I want to say is, with the Afrikaners, Indians in East Africa, they were big financiers of the East African slave trade. Yes. To the Arabs, to everybody else who was there.
But,
everybody else
Sheikh,
was there.
since
They
you
were big.
mentioned-
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes,
Yeah,
since-
Indians.
Since you mentioned
People don't know it much. That's why they're so powerful in Tanzania. That's why they own most of Tanzania. The whole Mwea safari industry in Uganda is owned by a family called Matvani. I know them. So that you're spot on. But Berbers, I'm putting on my record, to me Berbers are Africans. They're Africans.
Yeah, they are. 'Cause
And
you can't say when they came in and when they left.
I'm not emotionally
No,
invested in
no,
whether
and they
they're-
didn't exploit the land, taking it somewhere else, inferiorizing people. There's not that. There is a sense among the Berber that they are superior to black, I am sure. But we have blacks who have that feeling about other blacks. We Trinidadians feel that way about Grenadians. I'm just joking.
Sheikh,
We laugh at them. We laugh at them. We tease them a lot.
Sheikh,
Yeah.
since you raised the point of the East African slave trade,
Yeah. Zanzibar.
yeah. But because a lot of African people, black people, came up to me and they said, "Oh yeah, Somalia went through slavery. You're a Muslim because of the Somalis."
That's rubbish.
The Arab slave
That's-
trade. Can you explain that? To
That's
me? I told
rubbish.
them, we've never been
Somalis were converted because their cultural lifestyle was similar to the Arabs. Their lifestyle was similar. They were herders, they were pastoralists, and they have a concept of murawa. In Arabic, murawa, you know the word in Somali, Arabic murawa, manliness, to do with living in the outback.
Who are the Somalis? The ones who look like him or the ones that look like him?
There's no Somali that looks
No, they have some. They were slaves. They used to
Bantu?
they were growing bananas and in the
They came
Shabelle,
outside.
from the Shabelle River area, they used to have them brought
Yeah,
in.
but Uncle, I want you to tell him
Yeah.
that the Somalis that look like him,
Yeah.
they were brought into the country.
They were brought in.
They are Somali. I'm not rejecting that. They are Somali, but
They
You call them,
They-
they're Sab, you call them Sab.
They didn't
You call them
migrate
Sab, they're not Sab. You have Somali and Sab. They're not Sab.
Now the Sab is like the Rahawain. Those are real
So
Somalis.
they,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
who are the real Somalis?
Sab and Somali.
Now he's explaining the subdivisions.
So someone who looks like him.
You want to go home? Your stuff getting wet. I'm gonna wrap this up because we all getting wet. Look who's there, having meals in front of me while I starve. This is not cricket. How are you doing, my brother? You all right?
Bread from Riza.
Ah, ekmek, chok gizel. Chok gizel.
It means like the great Afro. That's what it means, the great Afro. It's not a bad term. It's like Jeredwayne, the great Afro people. Because they're called Jeredwayne and the great Afro because
I'm gonna leave. We know each other, of course. You got a small bag. I want to take it home. I don't like you eating the way. Give me a small piece of paper. Lovely. I'll take it home and have it with hot jam. Ekmek, chok gizel. Chok gizel. You have to say teşekkürler. Yeah, teşekkürler. Listen, I'm gonna run. I'm sorry. I want to continue this, but the elements have conspired against us. Gentlemen, thank you all. I'll see you again. Oh, you can have your mic back. You might hear the stuff I said going down the street. Guys, I'm out.
No, I'm not wrapping up. Where do you want to put it though?
You're asking me some questions.
Yeah.
And that's why I hear your point. Because I'm about to deal with that to do with England. And because everybody migrates, nobody really knows
Exactly.
who came from where.
Yeah.
But
But, you
I
know-
suppose what you're saying is the first that we know of.
Yeah.
That's right. But like I said, I'm going to bust these up with the first British.
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
We were
Look.
pygmy people.
Yeah, look, see when the white man came, at the end of the day, what you need to understand, the name Somali, the nation, Somalia as a nation is an invention, it just came recently. But Somalia as people, the word Somali is a tribe name. You understand? It comes from the root word of Samale. And Samale is one of the ancestors of Somali people. Somalis have two ancestors, Sab and Somali. And they speak two dialects, Nai and Hatri. It's like New Zealand English, American English, British English, basically. Like, or slang words, and have different slang words, right? Now, same thing with the Somalis. Now, and then you've got other Somalis, like Arab Somalis, who came to, they came to Somalia around this 14th century when Somalia had sultanates through trade.
Fair enough.
You know what I'm saying? Also, they've got little English that mixed up with them, blah, blah, blah. They have their own community, right?